and thank you everyone for coming, and really good to see you all with fresh smile face. That's what we want, right? So thank you for having me here. So yeah, I'm getting well settling, life here. What do you call it? Scotland, Connecticut. It's really beautiful, yeah. So thank you thank you so much. So what we need to do now is, as he says, Venerable Lobsantela introduce about the text. So I think I think most of you are here in the first class, I guess. And if there's some new, this is text, a classical text. It's very practical text. At the same time, there's a lot of technicalities also there. What I try to do is I'll just try to make as much as possible more kind of practical. But there are certain things that you can't make that much simplicities or so you need to go a little deeper too. And you could go to refer to different sources like a sutra or the commentaries. So I'm sure you're familiar what you mean by a sutra. Sutra is a teaching of the Buddha's own word, and then the commentaries, which is written by mostly like in ancient Indian Nalanda masters, and then you have commentaries by the Tibetan masters, scholars, practitioner, and then this is one of the most bodhisattva practitioner of Tibet. And so we are going to go through this text, but at the same time it will be good to do short like a meditation, settling our mind and settle our motivation. That's very, very important. And why we are doing here, because we all want a thing, what do we want? What is the meaning of life? I think we often ask that question, right? And the meaning of life is happiness. And then what is happiness? You also ask this question. In Nalanda tradition, we ask a lot of questions. The question is not really for other people, but you ask for ourselves. I want happiness. I want calm and peace, and I want happiness for others as well. Not only just me, for others too. And how can you really create that happiness? And we have to start from the individual, and then we can extend to your friends, families, and the communities, and then you can expand like infinitely in a way. So let's start with a few minutes, very short, silent meditation, settling our mind, and create the environment, and then invite, or if you wish, if you are comfortable, visualize all the past, like the great beings who have served for humanities, who have served for sentient beings in front of you. And the technical term we use is like a refuge field. Refuge field means that someone that other than you, that who are here to help us to guide into that happiness and peace. Invite them in front of you, whoever enlightened beings or great masters that came into in this world or in another universe. So since this is Buddhist teaching, just invite or the Buddhist Shakyamuni in front of you in person. Just imagine that he's sitting in front of you in person and helping us and guiding us to eliminate the suffering, the disturbing mind, stress, anxiety, uneasy thinking, just thinking that he's in front of you, and all Mother Sentient Being. We use this term, all Mother Sentient Being, all dear Mother Sentient Being, surrounded you, and just create that, environment is very important. And then do a few minutes, like focus on our breath, meditation. And when you say meditation, I think the body posture is very important. I think I introduced a little bit in the first day. Usually we do meditation like you cross leg and put your hand, and most importantly is sit your body most relaxed way is the better. Relax, spine straight, and then head not really like this, not bending like this. It's just normal little bit bend, but not. Why we do this? If you bend your hand like this, our mind, the mind flow doesn't really clear. Sometimes you may feel sleep. If you sit like this, mind just distract, go around. Because our mind and body is inseparable in a way. It's always connected. Interconnection or the interrelationship of the mind and body is very, very important. So because of that, the body posture is very important. And straight spine meaning all the I don't know, channel. We call it channel. How you channelize your mind is very important because of that straight. Really straight your spine, and then the shoulder just relax, not tense, not put like this or not put like this. Very relaxed manner, just very, very relaxed manner. And if you want to do the hand, put the right hand on top of the left hand, and if it is comfortable for you, touch this two thumb, and then keep the hand at the level of your navel, and then eye not completely closed but not completely open either. Maybe we call it half closed. And then if possible, look your the eye, just look on the tip of your nose, just like this, and then the tongue, if you can, a little bit bend and touch on the upper palate, like this. And then, okay. So to remember that the motivation, pure motivation, the pure motivation is to achieve maximum happiness for others as well as yourself. Okay? And then the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are in front of you to guide us, and then all other sentiments. We are not only one single person or just some group of people practicing. All other mother sentiments also surrounded you, and who are really seeking happiness and not really suffering. Okay? And then we need to settle our mind in order to be able to do the effective practice. We need to settle our mind first. So because of that, settling mind is very important. Another word sometimes people call it shamatha, meaning create our mind very focused and concentrative, clear, but very vivid and clear, and stand still, which means very concentrative. And focus on the breath, and you do breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So I think we'll do 3 minutes. Okay. Are you ready? So, everybody got the copy? If someone haven't got the copy, we have our copy. Thank you. Thank you. So I will just say 1 or 2 verses in Tibetan. Usually we start with that. And it's not really traditional, but it has deep meaning, and I will translate that in English too. Okay, in Tibetan you say, 강기 투지 예수님 따와 탐제 방배치 담배치네 던져보 고탐텔라 잡세로. In Tibetan, in English it said, enthused by good compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted view. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Have you heard that verse? Mm-hmm. So it was actually composed by Arya Nagarjuna in 2nd, 3rd century, right? And it's actually paying homage to the Buddha by reciting, by acknowledging, by realizing his qualities, and these were great compassion. He taught me Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted view. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. So, what does it really mean? Is Buddha? The meaning of the Buddha is not like a person, or he's a person in history. Okay, I think maybe it's good to tell a little bit about who is Buddha, what is Buddha. Is it possible that we will become Buddha or not? These are really questions. It's in the Nalanda tradition. You do a lot of critical or analyzing meditation, thinking, enthused by good compassion. You taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted view. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. It means, Buddha means, whereas I think a secular term, a fully awakened one. Fully awakened mind means someone who have eliminated all the negativity of the mind and become complete knowledge, compassion, and power. So Buddha have like there are many qualities. If you want, three main qualities. You call perfect love. In Tibetan you say like Ken say Nusum, Kembatartu, complete knowledge, who have complete, endowed with complete knowledge, and then endowed with a complete Lord, the great compassion, and then who have the power to teach what he have achieved or she have achieved, or how he or she trained his or her mind to achieve that kind of qualities. So these are quite important. And then these seeds, each one of have this seed. Each one of us can become fearlessness or complete, full of compassion, full of love, full of knowledge, and then power. Power meaning it's not really controlling for others, not really meaning bullying others. It meaning like who have the power to help others to lead you to the complete, a peace and calm states. So the power, the power of the Buddha is something, not really like in the very menial sort of power about politics or this kind of power. It's power meaning that someone who have power to help others. Just put yourself others' shoes. Another word that people use, and then also another meaning like other before themselves. And this power is not easy to get, so we need a lot of training, and that's why the Bodhisattva was the practice of very important. And so, how can you really do that? You need to study, reflect, and then meditate. These three should go very, from the very beginning when you start learning. I mean, any teaching of related to Buddhism. Oh yeah, Buddha's historical Buddha, and then a uniqueness of Buddha. There's another way to present too. And then if you read like the Indian history about when Buddha was appear and where was he appear and how did he spend his life in the castle, and then why he ran away from the castle. He have a luxury life, everything what he needs is there, but he wasn't really finding exactly what he want. That's not really it. So life is not just for leisure, or life is not for just indulging, and life is not just for having a palace which have full of gold and silver and I don't know whatever kind of facilities you have. He wasn't fond of this, and that's why he ran away from household life and become renunciate. It's become almost like a mendicant. And then if you read the life of the Buddha, you will learn these things, right? And then there's another, uniqueness kind of from Buddha's, life is also there, but, get learned later, The meaning is each one of has the capacity or the potential or the seed to become Buddha, meaning we can make progress our mind. We can change, we can transform the mind, the agitation mind by, learning the, the instruction, and you can really transform, a aggressive attitude mind, or cruelty mind, or jealous mind, or competitive mind. You can just, minimize them slowly, and you can become really like a blooming flower, and our mind can become really like a blooming sort of flower sort of mind. Yes.
I can't remember, did Siddhartha decide to go forth before or after he saw the three messengers?
What are the three messengers?
An old man, a sick man.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, if you look, yeah. Yeah, he was in the palace until the age of 28.
Yeah.
And his father was his mom passed away after a week, and then his aunt looked after him, and so his father was keeping him in the palace and not really taking him to a difficult place where he could see, because when he was born, and then in ancient India there's a tradition that go to a what do you call it, kind of say like meditator or sage who do the astrology reading, what kind of life his son will have, and like a mendicant or something, and a man who could read the astrology reading, he came that his father King Shuddhodana, and invite him into the palace, and then check with his how in the astrology reading.
Mm-hmm.
When this the meditator or the saint came, and when he's looking, he has the clairvoyant. I guess he can read what the Buddha going to be with this young like a baby going to be, and he started crying. And then Buddha's father, the king, was really worried. He thought there's something wrong with his child, because they were doing a lot of pujas, prayer to have like a prince, because the prince is very important to who could continue his kingdom for the future. Mm-hmm. So because of that, they were doing so many pujas, prayer to have the baby, and when he started crying, and then his father got a little worried and said, "So what happened? What is wrong with my child? Tell me." And then this meditator of the saint, he said, "I'm not crying because there's something wrong with your child. I'm crying because your son going to be, if he follow that as a king, or that like a household life, he will become very powerful king. But if he follow this another life, which meaning become monk or become renunciate, he will become Buddha, and who will show you the right path, how to achieve the complete freedom. And I'm really old, and I won't be able to see him growing up and doing his activities. So because of that, I feel sad and I'm crying." That's what he said. And then his father don't want him to run away from the palace. He want to keep him at that to continue his kingdom. And he was putting every effort, keep him stay away from suffering, seeing old age, death, sickness. He don't want to show him this uneasy life, because of he's providing every luxury, every whatever food, whatever a clothes or whatever thing, musician, and drama people, and it's bringing so many friends and others, just keeping it. It's almost like putting in a kind of prison in a way. It is prison, but from worldly sense, they think it's something paradise or something heaven or earth. I don't know, whatever they think. So that's what the ordinary people think like that. But for him, from very, very young age, like, I mean, from, when he was born, actually, he walked, he took actually 7 steps. And something really, unusual person. Someone unusual person. So these are, people are realizing that this child is not really ordinary. It's not really just a child. There are some people who are realizing, but many people don't, because especially his father, he really wanted to continue his kingdom, to be powerful kind of king, and who can, hand over his responsibility to being a king, and the whole, kingdom or the castles, the beautiful castle, whatever those times they have, and he's keeping them. But then somehow he managed to see the old age, sickness, and death. And one time he took him to around the, towns or village, and he saw the, I think the first one was old age, very skinny, person. Very, very skinny old age person with like a walking stick, walking like this. And he was just thinking, why he is that skinny, and so everybody has to become old age. And he's just realizing about, the Noble Truth, the teaching that he turned, the first turning of the wheel of Dharma, where he turned, first turning wheel of Dharma, which is the Four Noble Truth. But whether he's calling it like a Four Noble Truth or not, but he is actually seeing the truth of suffering, old age, sickness, and death finally. And he wanted, this must have some way to get away from this. He was really very, very, from a very young age, really deeply contemplating these things. And his father and others, like servants, whoever around surrounded with him, they were providing every facility they have and taking him for a tour on, like, I don't know, those in ancient time, you have the, what is that, cart, right? On like a horse, pull the cart, and then the cart have decorated with golds and silvers and these, like, I don't know, 1,000, maybe billions kind of dollars or rupees could cost, and putting him on there and then taking to the, like a town to see, sightseeing, probably, what do you call it, sightseeing? Mm-hmm. But he wasn't, enjoying, he wasn't thinking, oh, that's so good. He wasn't really, his mind wasn't really, outwardly. His mind was not really going with that. He just kept thinking deeply inside. And when, his father wanted to just stay away from the old age and sickness and death, but then somehow he sees that this old man is very skinny, almost like a skeleton. And his mind was so compassionate. What happened? How can I really, bring something, comfort for him? This is what he was thinking, deeply thinking all the time. And then the second time, he saw that sickness, someone is really, old age, sickness. And then one time he saw like a corpse, like a body, dead
corpse
body.
The second time, and
the
American monk.
The last one, time. The American, yeah. So these are really practically, we can learn these too. Nowadays, there are His Holiness the Dalai Lama, there are many monks and nuns, and lay people around the world, like in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Burma, in the US, Europe. I mean, you have a lot of very good people, practitioners there too. We could try to follow these and try to find the right person. I mean, right meaning, someone who have the capacity, or someone who have completely dedicated for others. Dedicated. People often say, I'm completely dedicated my life to the Dharma. What does it mean, dedicate to the Dharma or the dedicate to the Buddha? I want to dedicate my life for my own happiness and others. So in order to be able to help others, I think we have to prepare ourselves. It's not really selfish reason. We have to prepare ourselves, meaning we have to identify what is the weakness with us. We know that we are not able to see, the how could you say that we have misconceptions are there. We're seeing that suffering as pleasure, unpleasant as a pleasant, and then like a impermanent, but we see as a permanent, and surface like selflessness nature, but we see like selfhood. We have so many misconceptions are there, so we need to realize the weakness of ourselves, and at the same time you can explain what you think is right for others. Anytime, good to have like a class set class, but anytime you come across people, there are people who could just sometimes ask, how can I find peace and happiness? I can share one story, interesting story. 2 years ago, I was in Dharamsala, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama was going to give a teaching at the main temple. So everybody is well familiar with Dharamsala? In India, where His Holiness the Dalai Lama lives, there's a resident of His Holiness there, and then we call it like the main temple, meaning all the activities, teachings, other functions happen at that temple. And I went to there to, usually if you have like a teaching, public teaching tomorrow, you go there to reserve your seat. You go with the kind of cushion or maybe like a bed sheet sort of thing, and put there so that you get the seat. Otherwise, many people come, so you won't be able to see where where you could see His Holiness, and like a physical you could see, and then you can hear, right? So I just went there to put my, reserve my seat. I went there, and then there was some Baralam, house on the side, and there was some, like a spot there. I would just go there and, put the sheet over there. And then, interesting, a young lady, I think she was in age 20 plus, maybe, quite young. And she was from Philippines, I think. And she just came and said, can you tell me what's happening tomorrow, or what's happening here? And say, well, His Holiness the Dalai Lama is going to give a public teaching here, and if you want to, join, listen to him, you can do that too. And you have to go to the, register office, register, and spot, like reserve your seat. And she said, I want to become a nun. Out of blue, and from out of nowhere, I don't know her, and she said, I want to become a nun. Can you guide me how to do that? Interesting. And then while I was talking to her, another very young boy, looks like a high school boy, 17, 18 age, and he just came. He said, how can I get peace of mind? She said, can you help me? Can you, tell me how can I get peace of mind? I want to find a place where I can turn how to, find peace of mind. And I have two young boys, young girls, and standing, and I have another friend also, with me. I think Taiwanese, and it was so funny. What is going on here? Some show is going on, or someone is planned to do this, or is my karma, or what? And then, okay, what do you want? You want peace of mind, right? So, and I just said, where are you from? And I can't remember whether I asked where he's from or not, but he was saying, I just want a peace of mind, and where can I find that? And then you can find a lot from, maybe, are you familiar with the dalailama.com, or website? Or you want to, like, someone in person who can teach you how to, find peace of mind. And in Dharamsala, usually foreigner, Indian, non-Tibetan speaking people, I usually refer to the, Library of Tibetan Work and Archive, where they provide classes for non-Tibetan speaking people, meaning they organize a lot of teaching in English. So it would be good to have in our nunnery in a way, but in the future probably why not. But I just refer, okay, maybe go to the Tibetan library, or maybe find somewhere on the Tibetan house where they provide English, because he was Indian. The boy was Indian and the girl was from Philippines. And then, I just said, okay, I can give you my phone number and you contact me, or, we could talk about if you are really serious about becoming a nun. It's a lifetime commitment. You need to, You need to think very carefully about your family ground, culture, and then what you want, why you want to become a nun, and I could guide you that. It's interesting. This is what this exactly at the spot at the Dalai Lama temple happened, and then I came back. I was coming back to my room, and I was walking. There's another school called IBD, Institute of Buddhist Dialect School in Dharamsala. At the gate there's a one way go to the temple, one way go to the library, one way go to the temple, like the town, and one way to go to my place. While I was walking, there's a lady, Tibetan ladies. Have you heard? Many people call her Kandula. It's oracle. Have you heard oracle?
Oracle.
It's an oracle who trans like gods and some other kind of a mind trans into her, and then he can do some prediction. And she's really well practitioner. She's giving teaching a lot actually, traveling around the world. And I met her a few times, but was actually working. She's coming with two Namgyal monastery monks. Have you heard Namgyal monastery? There's Namgyal monastery is the Dalai Lama's personal monastery. So she has actually two monks attendants. Interesting. She from very young age, she came from Tibet, and I think age 18, 19, she have some connection with God. I'm sorry, it's a protector in a way, who gives some, His Holiness give her, and he can give some prophecy, some certain time, if you have to do some, some decision, like related with the Dharma or Tibet. I think this is something, but this is something beyond us. I'm not that interested, but somehow I met her there with the monks, and I don't know why she just came and said, "Hey, Dashi Dele," it's like, I know it's just talking like this. Interesting, she is quite important in a way. There's a kind of some. His Holiness the Dalai Lama know about these things. Okay, so maybe we don't have to worry about this. So she trans another kind of, I wouldn't say spirit, but it's more like a protector. And then when His Holiness did some, like a cooperation to, make his activities more successful, and she, he often consult with her, and there's another monk. These things happen. Interesting. It kept going this way. Interesting. Another time, this is so funny. Also, again, went to this was actually. Have you heard initiation, empowerment? In Buddhism, you have Buddhist teaching have sutra and tantra. I wouldn't go that detailed, but this is something important things to share. Another teaching was actually His Holiness the Dalai Lama was going to give highest, kind of empowerment or initiation at the temple, which was requested by the great monasteries in South India. They're like, I don't know, a couple thousand monks, nuns, come from South India to Dharamsala to give teaching. It was actually in July 7, interesting. No, August 7, I think 2 years ago. And I went there to put again my, seat. There was one very young boy, looks like age 11, 12, very young, Indian young boy. And doing Kora, have you heard Kora? Usually, this is tradition. We have many. It's not really just tradition. We do circumambulation to like a holy object, meaning stupas, Buddha statue, temple, monasteries, to purify yourself, meaning to, purify our negativities. So the young boy, and then I think his father or uncle, I don't know, older man like you, and then the young boy. He had, we have money, do we have? I think we have over there something. Yeah, anyway, there's prayer wheel. We have prayer wheel outside here. He had one very new, beautiful prayer wheel, this young boy. And he was training this prayer wheel like this way. And I put my, reserved my seat and sat, and then another man came, and we were just chatting. And this young boy came to me. and he was calling me like Auntie Ji, Auntie Ji. In Hindi, Auntie mean, Hindi is also Auntie. In English also you call Auntie, right? And he said, Auntie Ji, how can I turn this wheel? It was so nice, actually. And which way? Shall I turn this wheel this way or that way? And then I said, okay, maybe his father or uncle, I don't know. He was over there. This young boy is coming to me and asking, very young. Do you have to turn this prayer wheel this way or this way? Clockwise or anti-clockwise? Mm-hmm. He was asking that. And generally we, turn in the clockwise. And I tell her, and I just taught him, no, you turn, clockwise. And if you want to go to circumambulate the temple, you also turn the clockwise. You do that. And then I show you how to do. He had got the beautiful, money prayer, the brand new, beautiful one. And he wanted to learn. And I just, show her how to turn this, like a prayer wheel. And he did. And then he went to do the circumambulation to the temple, and we sat. And then again he came. Can you show me? And then he was kind of hesitating. He wasn't really happy what I said. You should turn in the clockwise. He was not satisfying why I'm telling him to turn clockwise. He wanted something more. Looked like he wanted something more. He said, again, come and said, how do I turn it? That was so funny. And in my mind, there's a certain practice where you have, turn the money and the anti-clockwise, and the same thing when you do circumambulation to the stupa or the temple or mandala. Have you heard mandala? We met this globes and mandala offering to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Why not? When you do the mandala offering, we offer them in the universe to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to cut the root cause self-centered attitude, self-cherishing mind, and then the attachment and aversion and the competitive mind. We wanted to offer to cleanse your mind. So when you do this, go to receive this teaching. There are some practice where you do, circumambulate to the mandala. And generally you do this, circumambulation clockwise. And then there are certain practice where you do anti-clockwise too. I think he was really searching that answer. Why? I don't know. And a few times, it's not only one time. Few times this kind of incident happened to me. Another Indian young gentleman coming from Mumbai, Delhi, and asking, how can I really turn this money prayer? At the temple you have the money prayer, big one, like this. And here we have medium size. I always say clockwise. I never say anti-clockwise. But they want something more, interestingly. There's highest yoga tantra, have you heard that? It's okay to just listen this word. The Buddhism have a very foundational practice, simple way, and then you have little more advanced sutra, bodhisattva, bodhicitta, and then there's wisdom, emptiness, impermanent, this teaching, and then there's a more advanced teaching too, which mostly more individually, not really in public much. So it's more advanced teaching. Those who are ready to receive this teaching, those who are ready to practice this teaching, then the teachers give this teaching, the instruction, more like pith instruction, or maybe more like a secret, but sacred as well as secret. So this teaching, you could do the circumambulation, the clockwise, anti-clockwise. It has to do a lot with our body visualization, the channel that our body have, mind, body, mind, subtle mind. These are there. So sometimes these interesting, incidents are really helpful for us to think about how to really respond to these people who just randomly come and ask. Doesn't matter. This actually teach me in a way it's really good. We are all human beings, and everybody is searching something to, I want to practice, to find peace of mind. And there are some people who said, I wanted to learn a little more advanced. Like, why you have prayer wheel? Why you have this mandala? Why we have so many tankas or the photos or the image of the Buddhas? And these questions are really, really precious question, I think. And then sometimes when these show up in like random on the street and the temple, sometimes even in very busy shopping area, just people come and ask. Interesting, no? It's good to be Buddhas are everywhere in a way who are there to help us because we are wandering in this suffering world. Have you heard that suffering world? We did not really realizing suffering as a suffering. Because of that, we are like more like a daydreamer. We think this everyday, very minimal, routine is my needs, but that's not enough. Life is not just for, very minimal things. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Without exception, I think in the suttas they describe when people come to see the Buddha that they circumambulate with their right shoulder towards him, so that would be clockwise, I think.
Generally, yes, we do.
I don't think there's any exceptions in the suttas that I've seen.
Oh, in the sutra, probably not, but
Yeah.
in Tantra.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a story in a way, but this kind of story this kind of incident could come for any one of you. Maybe Venerable Lobsang, you may have, met people like this kind of thing. It often happens, and these are, if you learn about this Bodhisattva's practice, or, in Buddhist teaching are more like very flexible. We have to make very, very flexible in a way. Just be ready that to face any challenge come, any good thing come, any nothing miracle thing happen. I guess in ordinary people. Sometime in something that unusual sort of people you could meet or you could come across. And then what we have to do is we have to just be ready. Okay, I'm meeting another human being and we do not really met before. Doesn't really much matter. We are in the human level. The bottom line, we are all same as human beings. And same ears, same nose, slightly different color probably, or the hair color, and maybe slightly different culture background. That's okay, But the bottom line is we're human beings, right? And then each one of us are seeking some, better meaning happier, more relaxed, and how to deal, uneasy thing with gentle, with mindful, with, like a assertive mind. So that's why the mind training or the 37 practice of Bodhisattva, it says that 37 practice of Bodhisattva, which means, the mindfulness practice is very important. It's a crucial, vital in any practice. Mindfulness means just be mindful what you're doing. Either you're helping by someone else, either you're dealing with business people, either you're dealing with like a very difficult people. Sometimes the difficult people show up too. Either you're just having really good time with your casual thing with your families and friends, and it just have you stay with mind, meaning do you get what you mean? Stay with your mind, not really wander. Yeah, of course, we can't really control that. You not really force, but naturally, this mindfulness, clear mindfulness. How do you really establish? How do you really generate clear and mindfulness? We need to do a lot of meditation. Meditation, you can do, cross your leg and then, really focus on this object. But wherever you are, be mindful is also good. It's something, it's a very basic kind of a, quality we already have. It's just a matter of how to expand it. How do you really nurture it, right? So for that, the present practice is very important. And I think we read the first two verse in the first class, and I share about the short background of the author. In the Geshe example, Geshe means the courageous one or the son of the Victoria one. We all can become the son or the daughter of the Victoria one day, slowly, slowly. That's why this Victoria one is very important too. Victoria, you will win from selfishness or another word, self-grasping ignorance. Have you heard this? Some misconceptions. We have so many misconceptions within our mind. Because of that, we suffer. Do we really recognize or do we identify suffering as suffering or not? What do you get when you say suffering? Maybe share something. When you say suffering, what kind of thing come in your mind? Maybe share few people. Oh, sorry? Heaviness. Heaviness of like a load or heaviness your mind. Okay. How about you? When you suffering.
Is it translation of what Dugnal?
Dugnal. Oh, you speak Tibetan.
I think it's a little more like discontent. In English, I think suffering is a little more gross, like pain.
Oh, okay.
I think in the mind, it's a little more like discontent. It's a little bit more subtle.
Discontent, right. So discontent with what? I mean, anything could be, right?
Yeah, good question. Discontent, yeah.
It's meaning you're not content with your life. Does that mean?
I think so, yeah. I mean,
it's really good to ask yourself discontentment.
Well, I just think the word Dugnal is always translated as suffering, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then what does that mean for us?
Suffering, misery is a good word, do you think?
Yeah, but I don't know, misery is also kind of gross. Do you see what I
mean? Yeah.
So I think when we say Dugnal, there's something more subtle in there than
exactly, good. Yeah,
but I can't really elaborate too much.
That's good.
I would say that the First Noble Truth is a statement that no matter how much happiness we experience, we will always settle back to a feeling of minimally dissatisfaction and ultimately face old age, sickness, and death.
Okay, but
I think dissatisfaction is also a good word because again, it's
dissatisfaction. We can think about this. The term about any of the commentaries or the sutra, there's a translation. I'm not really that kind of well aware about all this different translation. I think commonly people translate suffering out of the Four Noble Truth, truth of suffering, truth of origin of suffering, truth of cessation of suffering, truth of path that lead to suffering. And then there are many teachers also use misery, and there are some people use uneasy to deal and so whatever term you use, the main thing, it's really good in a way, but the suffering have different levels. Yes, what do you think?
I think maybe the distinction that you're pointing to is like the difference between a horrible illness that we would call suffering or something in the mind like doubt, for example. Like that's a more subtle discontent in the mind that we struggle with doubt or can't make up our minds or are confused in the mind as opposed to more grievous things like deadly illness or something which we would more rarely call suffering.
Do you have anything?
When I think of suffering, I think of like self-inflicted pain.
Self-inflicted pain.
Like pain that you are causing yourself.
Yeah, it's quite deeper understanding. Self-inflicted pain. Good. And how about you?
I think like disconnection from meaning or from self. Someone doesn't feel connected to others.
I need to know the name too. What is his name? Sorry, CJ. And you? Karen. And you?
Edna.
Ed?
You can call me Geshe.
Geshe, that's good. Yes, special insight. The term in the Geshe is a special insight. And how about your name?
Judy.
And you?
Blair.
Okay. Okay, it's good. Do you have anything about
I would say maybe like unfulfilled expectations or desires. Would be
unfulfilled
like a subtle
expectation
form
and
of suffering.
desire?
Desire around.
Unfulfilled your expectation. Another thing. Good. Do you have anything?
No.
Oh, your name? Sorry. You.
Oh, I'm Jason.
Jason. Megan. Okay. Anyway, why I'm asking this because I can sense that you have some influence. You already have some knowledge about the like the teaching of the Buddha in a way. I mean, so why we are asking this? I also ask for myself a lot of questions for myself. When you're walking around here and there, and then sometimes you do meet people like this. We need to know. When Buddha say, this is suffering. This is origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the path to lead this suffering. And then suffering need to be identified. So we have to identify what is suffering and what is not suffering. And then suffering are levels of suffering. There are 3 levels of suffering in a way, like suffering of suffering. Have you heard that? Suffering change, and then pervasive conditioned suffering. Pervasive conditioned suffering. What you're saying, it's close there, which is really good, I think. Pervasive conditioned suffering. To identify that as a suffering is very difficult. When you say, everybody say that discontentment, disconnection, heaviness, and unsatisfied with your expectation. These are an example or instance of suffering.
Could you say those 4 again, please?
Yeah, those 4?
You said there were 4 kinds of suffering?
3.
No, 3.
3. Oh,
3.
sorry.
Suffering of suffering.
Suffering of suffering.
Gross.
Very gross.
Suffering of suffering, and then changeable suffering. Suffering of change.
Suffering of change.
Suffering of change.
Mm.
And then the third one, pervasive conditioned suffering.
Mm.
Pervasive.
Like ignorance.
Yes, exactly. Pervasive conditioned suffering.
And the change.
Suffering of change.
Change
Suffering of change.
Circumstances
No. Suffering of change meaning, the ordinary pleasantness is a suffering. All contaminated pleasant feeling is suffering. But we do not really realize that's a suffering. Sorry, it's a suffering. That's why the Buddha's father, who was providing all the luxury thing, that expecting that he will be very happy with these facilities, but he wasn't. That's not really meaning of your life. 5-star hotel these days, or I don't know, whatever, gold, silver, whatever, anything. It's just kind of thing, just a clothes, and just a kind of house. What? There's not much meaning. I need something deeper rather than this external thing. So suffering with change means that if you eat like a delicious food, how delicious it is. Can you measure that? It's so good. Look at this house, oh beautiful. We're just grasping, creating extra kind of suffering in a way, and craving, right? Craving, that craving, and then you putting extra, attachment, which bring us suffering, instead of happiness. So the first 2 are very gross, suffering, and the suffering with change, very gross. We can realize suffering, actually, even the animal can identify as a suffering, because cat and doggy, when they have like a physical pain or a wound or someone bite, they identify as suffering. This is something that not want. Suffering means I don't want, right? I don't want to suffer. Suffering means that I don't want to suffer. And then how can you really stop that? Then you need to go to the deeper one, which is the origin of suffering. Pervasive conditioned suffering is self-cherishing mind, selfishness, ignorance, jealousy, attachment, aversion, competitive mind, These are all origin of like a cause of suffering, the root cause, which is ignorance. And to realize ignorance, you need a lot of meditation about how the ignorance actually came to me. The heaviness in our feeling, in our heart is some heaviness is there, because we are not really realizing thing as it is. We do not. We are kind of in. We don't have enough kind of intelligence to realize the things as it is. Things as it is mean how it appear and how it exists. There's big discrepancy. Because of that, we engage wrong thinking. Because of that, we are dreaming in this kind of thing. Beautiful. When you see like a attractive kind of object, our mind pull there. If you see that some kind of unattractive thing, could be a house, could be a flower, could be food, our mind push these things, and then aversion arise. And when there's a a attractive kind of object come, our mind pull there, meaning attach that. And if you do not really get that what you want, then you suffer, right? So you need to do a lot of this experiment for ourselves. And, maybe not really, you can share with others too, but mainly better to do for ourselves first. And then, I can't really give like how long you have to, but with compassion, with care with others, you can share other too. I feel this help in a way. How about if we, our life more like this way rather than this? Too much greed, too much competition, too much kind of, me is the first. Me, mine. Because of that, we wander in this samsara, right? So anyway, I think the time is, we haven't started the text. That's not important, we have time. What we have to do is we need to just create time to learn these things, as much as possible. Why not? Life is short. You never know when you die. Birth, old age, sickness, death is inevitable. Have you heard this?
Yes.
Inevitable means you can't avoid. It will happen. It's natural law. Will take care of it. We don't have to put effort to get old age. We don't have to put effort to get sickness. We don't have to put effort to I want to die. Sorry, people commit suicide in a way. It's very, very sad. Very, very sad, because this human being is so precious. The first verse. I think we should read the first verse, because we have 15 minutes. Let's read the first verse and then think some contemplation with that. We are so fortunate, I would say, because we have to uplift ourselves, empower ourselves. It's very important. We are so fortunate why we have this precious human body. And we can get a lot of benefit for others and ourselves. We can do a lot. We have the intelligent mind. Our mind is so sharp, and we can make the distinction what is good and what is bad. We can make the distinction, we can make the right decision that help benefit many beings. So because of this, you can't really, take as kind of easy, that kind of, just for normal thing. It's something very important. Let's read this first verse, and then I think we should stop or do some dedication, or maybe one question or something. Having gained this rare ship of freedom and fortune, hear, think, and meditate unwaveringly night and day, in order to free yourself and others from the ocean of cycle existence. This is the practice of the Bodhisattva. So this is the first, verse, and in the Tibetan verse is beautiful in a way. Of course, in English is a beautiful one too. 달절 투제 녀가 톱디들 다진 코르베 소련 달지치 닌단 센도 예와 메빠는 예성고마 갸셀라레. So 닌단 센도, here where you say having gained this rare ship of freedom and fortune. This ship here referring to our precious human body. Okay? Ship, where if you want to cross the ocean, what do you need? You can fly, or you can go to take the boat. So if you want to cross the ocean of samsara or the ocean of suffering. You need a ship, you need boat, you need car, or maybe you need an airplane. Same thing, our body is like the boat. If you want to free yourself from this ocean of suffering, our body have the capacity to do it. The mind and the body have the capacity to do it. So that's why having gained the ship of freedom and fortunate. Freedom, we get the freedom from affliction in the way. Freedom from cycle existence means freedom from attachment, aversion, and ignorance. That's very important. Then what is attachment? What is ignorance? What is aversion? Three object, like attractive, unattractive, neutral. When I look by looking the three object, if the attractive object, attachment arise. With the unattractive object, aversion arise, and the neutral, ignorance arise. So we have to do a lot of contemplation with this, and then gain your knowledge, expand your knowledge with the mindfulness, assertive mindfulness, introspection, another word there. So having gained this rare ship of freedom and fortune, we are fortunate. You have to uplift ourselves. Fortunate, we are really fortunate person. We are very fortunate human beings. Why? Because we can do a lot of beneficial for others and ourselves. And compared to like some others, of course, animal also have the potential to become, fully awakened or the Buddha in a way. But because of the cause and condition, because of this, their karmic, karma, they are animal in a way. But some animals are really intelligent too. They are so beautiful. That's why you have to take care of the animals too, not really ignore them. They have the Buddha nature. So in Buddha nature, we use the name like term. The Buddha nature means the basic goodness, or the true mind is clear, and it doesn't have the nature of the mind is the affliction. We're talking about the affliction, the origin of suffering, which is afflictions. It's not in the true nature of the mind. It's just temporary there. We can remove it by applying the wisdom. Wisdom, realizing mostly like interdependency, wisdom realizing emptiness, wisdom realizing how thing exists, how you exist, how other exist, how the surrounding exists. So we can do a lot of this training. Or else from accomplishing the excellent teaching and the dependent on knowing the practice. So I will explain the practice of Bodhisattvas. So the author of the Bodhisattvas who said I will explain. So he explained his own experience. He really shared his own experience with us. No matter how long, it's quite huge kind of time gap between the author appear on this earth and us, but still, we can connect with it. So because he really shared his own experience by practicing the Bodhisattva's practice. And Bodhisattva practice means dedicate yourself for others. If you dedicate others, your own purpose will fulfill naturally. So that's why we have to expand our heart, warm-heartedness, great compassion. These are really beautiful things. Okay, I think we have only 10 minutes, just read the verse, not much, I thought I'm going to explain what is, the sheep, where so like a pervasive human rebirth. In Tibetan we call it talwa, taljorgi, meaning leisure and endowment. There are like talwa joroju, like 8 leisure and 10 endowment for the precious human body. So I'll share with that next class. And then why this is so precious. We should use it for the good purpose. And then you try to use this in good purpose yourself, and then always try to be ready to share with others. That's how we can create compassionate society or harmonious society. Because each one of us is a part of the world, no matter what. We can't expect, and we can't escape. So we have to deal with it. Then, if you have one person who can deal with that, you could multiply 10, 100, 1,000, and then maybe slowly million. Why not? Right? Okay, one or two questions. I think you have something to say. Can you share
I
that?
was curious, the author here, Geshe Tenzin Lhadron, is this a commentary or is this the original text?
It's the original text. It's the root text or the original text that written by him and then translation, yeah.
And where was he from?
He's
in
from
London?
Tibet. He's from
Tibet.
Tibet.
Mm.
He was actually born in Tibet, in central Tibet. 1314, like actually his time of, the way he says like 1295 to 1369, it's a more common year that, you know, like how many years now? 700 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's from Tibet and he has a lot of connections. Many of his teachers are like Geshe Tenzin, have you heard? Geshe Tenzin, great sense of Tibet. Geshe Tenzin, his student Ritchung was, and then great Sakya masters in Tibet. And yeah, he was one of the really, really, great practitioner of the Gantapa tradition, the really, mind training, system that established in Tibet that go back to Master Adisha, Lama Seklingpa, and go to the Buddha.
So this
Mind training.
in that tradition.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, any other question?
Can you just clarify one thing? Listen, maybe you know this. I thought Rinpoche always said pervasive compounded suffering.
Pervasive compounded suffering.
Is conditioned and compounded interchangeable as words? Because you were saying pervasive condition.
Pervasive condition suffering.
He always said pervasive compounded. Are they sound like different words in terms of meaning in English.
Compounding. What does it mean by in Tibetan compounding? It's the same, I think. I think it's same. Pervasive condition suffering.
Yeah.
I think it's a similar.
Conditioning,
Compounding condition is similar. But the main point we have to know is suffering change, and pervasive condition suffering. The third one, pervasive condition suffering, is the base. Because of that, the second two comes. Then here we have to, what kind of instant, can you have any example of pervasive condition suffering? Can you give me like a pervasive condition suffering example? And can you think about any pervasive condition suffering like example? The suffering, and suffering change. And suffering is like a very acute kidney kind of pain, or someone who have like a bad accident, injury, bleeding. These are like suffering. It's quite easy. It's very gross. And then suffering change. All the samsaric pleasure feelings are like a suffering change. It's not really pleasant. It's not really happiness. It's suffering. And yes.
I was going to say, is having to take rebirth considered a part of the compounded suffering?
Yeah, that's really good. When you say you have taken rebirth into this cycle existence again and again, with the force, with the power, or with the force of afflictive and contaminated karma, taking rebirth into the samsaric world again and again. That's the pervasive condition of suffering. I think in a way it's kind of meaning in a way. And then example, you could think about the very contaminated body itself. Some people would say like pervasive condition suffering, but then there's a different way to look at that too. If you understand a deeper meaning about this, if someone who have really realized the precious human body as a precious, like a gem, gym, right? It's clear. Like a lot
like
of
an athlete, somebody who works
Gem.
Jams. I'm sorry, jams.
Thank you.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So the Bodhisattva wishes to return endlessly to help others, but has the Bodhisattva, by becoming a Bodhisattva, escaped samsara, or the suffering of that pervasive rebirth?
Bodhisattvas, yes, I got what you're saying. Bodhisattvas who are courageous people, courageous beings, who intentionally come to samsara apparently taking as a simple human form and then serve others. They intentionally come back to suffering to eliminate, to lead others into the peace. Their mind, they can decide by themselves. They have got the power way to take rebirth by themselves. I mean, sorry, not all bodhisattvas. There are certain bodhisattvas. There are like high level bodhisattvas who intentionally come back to the earth to help, to sentient beings, to guide this peace and happiness, the state of the happiness, that in the level that happiness the bodhisattvas have. Bodhisattva, in some bodhisattva you have like 10 ground bodhisattvas level, 5 paths levels of bodhisattvas are there. So ordinary people like us, we have to just start from our we have to start from scratch. I don't know about I can't really say we are all beginner, because I don't know what's going in his mind, because he may have got his he can control his mind, probably. Why not? Or maybe you have got your mind. I don't have like a clairvoyance to read other people's mind, but by spending time together, and then more or less we can guess a little bit. So bodhisattvas who take others' suffering for themselves and give their happiness to others. This is the dominant practice. Giving and taking practices exist in this mind training, where you have this mind training. Yes.
But to her, I don't know if this was your question. Do they experience suffering,
Right,
even though they're taking on suffering, if they've already
They
achieved?
are the beginner. What do you call it? Like a. Beginner level bodhisattvas probably feel the suffering, but they do not really suffer like us. They can manage it. They have the power. But then more advanced bodhisattvas, they don't. They feel, if someone asks, in which we study Madhyamika, where you see that if they those who have enough courageous to give your own body to others, they will be so happy to hear that someone asks you to give your eyes to me. They feel so happy that it was someone came to fulfill my practice. You want to get perfection, right? And then perfection of generosity. And when they come to ask you to give something, they are ready, always ready to give. Like Aryadeva, have you heard this? The master Aryadeva, who gave his eyes to like one old lady who asked, "Can you give me the eyes?" And he take it out and give it to the lady. And there are many bodhisattvas who are there to give. And even nowadays, there are people who donate their kidneys to others. There are people who give like a blood, donation to people. These are, more or less kind of, toward the bodhisattva practice in a way. I mean, even though our own level bodhisattva, sorry. Yeah, it's actually 10:30, so let's just show dedication and mentally. I have just 2 verses at the very end, with the wish to free all beings. Have you seen that? Do you have? Oh, maybe I didn't share.
No, it's not.
Oh,
No, it's a new one. It was on that one.
I see. Okay.
Extended the names.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't send that link. Okay. Sorry, don't worry. Yeah, doesn't matter. We don't have to recite not necessary. It's good to recite sometime, but if not necessary, you just mentally just sit, quietly sit, and then dedicate, any reflective, some positive energy that we are creating together, to dedicate that to the well-being of all mother sentient beings. And then dedicate this merit that, His Holiness the Dalai Lama live long, and all the other enlightened beings, all those great beings who are serving, dedicating their life for others, they live long, and then their activities continuously, expand all around the universe, not only just this world, this earth, all universe. Okay. Some Tibetan, Chanju Sundarmuchi. Chanju Simjari Moche, Maji Banam Kiguchi, Kiwana Bane Bayan, Komi Kondo Pewan Sho, Yantata Rimboche, Maji Banam Kiguchi, Kiwana Bane Bayan, Komi Kondo Pewan Sho. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. So, you know, that heaviness just lift up. When you feel like heaviness, because we are human beings, no problem.